Hello, good evening, everybody. Dadman Walking 55 right here, right now on a Friday night. And you know what Friday nights means around here? Football talk. Started in the fall with college football. Well, it kind of bounced nights around. Then on later in the fall, December, January, it was NFL talk. And now we got spring football with the great XFL. And we've made it through 10 weeks of the regular season. We made it into the first week. Well, there are only two rounds of the playoffs. So, but hey, we made it there so far. So, hey, now we get ready for the championship matchup. And who else knows XFL like this great guy, this great co host I have right here, the great Woopah Troopah? Hey, Woopah,
Hello.
how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Ready
Good,
to
good.
get to some XFL action.
Yeah, exactly. So, actually, how has your week been?
Oh, it's been busy. I've been working about nonstop. When I'm not working at work, I'm working on this fantasy football stuff. I've got a hard deadline for this stuff, and it's tomorrow. So
Oh,
I got
wow. Wow, you are going to be busy tonight. Well, what about
yep.
tell everybody a little bit about about the dress up y'all are doing. This is not just a a little casual thing. Y'all are actually going out full out with this with the dress and all, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if people want to hear about my fantasy football stuff, it's a little bit of an interesting escapade,
Yeah.
because Um, this is a dynasty league, and if you don't know what a dynasty league is, basically everyone you keep all your players every year. So if you draft I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I'm trying to think of who's a person from Florida who's in the league right now.
Josh Hammond.
Josh Hammond. If you draft Josh Hammond and you keep him on your team, then you get to keep him all the way until you decide to give up him. And we have some other things to make it more competitive and such, with more balance, which I really like. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too far into it because I could talk about the rules of this league for the entire stream.
Oh.
Uh, but this is we started this in 2014, so this is about to be our 10th anniversary, and we started this with mostly there were 7 people from our high school.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the same class. There was one guy from a different high school that they knew from hockey. I didn't play hockey, but other people did. And then 2 dads of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, we actually expanded. So we added one of the people's younger brother, and we added some other guy who someone knew. I don't know the story of that really, but
You always
he
have
got
that guy
he
in the group, though. You got to have a few
uh,
of those.
he's cool. It's just like I don't know how he got here, uh, but um, so this is a big event. I've been making these videos, kind of like like a 30 for 30. Well, I've made it 10 for 10, making
Oh,
10
wow.
videos. I'm probably not going to finish all 10 because I've got 6 left in one day, and honestly, 2 of them are not great. They didn't get a lot of material for them. I interviewed a bunch of people
Uh,
in the league. Uh, and if I'm interviewing other people, I can only do so much with it. Uh, but the big thing is uh, that on Monday, the commissioner of the league said he was hoping that we would dress up, And at first, I thought, "Oh, that's silly. I don't want to dress up. Like,
wow.
I don't like wearing fancy clothes." But then I thought about so this is the thing inside of the mind of Whoopa. I don't like fancy clothes, but I
Uh-huh.
do like being over the top. Like not for personally, but just to make people, kind of the concept of if you do something silly, people are gonna laugh.
Right. Right.
If you so I thought, hey, I've got this old tux that I wore to my friend's wedding 3 years ago. So it's not
Mm.
too old, but it does fit a little snug. I found out today. I can still wear it, but it's I gotta be
That's always
careful.
key, as long as you can get into it.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's a tight fit. Gotta make sure my belly doesn't show a little bit. But so then I've been making a lot of purchases on Amazon Prime lately. So I bought a little like fancy hat, kind of flat brim. It's not quite a fedora, but it's similar. It's just flat brimmed, and it's got like feathers on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you've got feathers on the side, pop up. It mostly matches the suit. It's a
Yeah.
navy blue suit. Um, and so I put that on. I'm like, this looks silly. Well, then I ordered a walking cane, but more of like a kind of a pimp cane style,
Oh
I
my
guess.
gosh, the Pimp Daddy Woopah. Hey,
Yeah. So
let me
yeah,
say hi real quick to Maddie's daddy, Steve Mitchum. Hey, hello, dropping a like, going back to work. Thank you for always coming by and your support, Maddie's daddy. I appreciate it as always. And your Barmy's here too. Hey,
hey,
welcome.
it's the Barmy Army.
Oh, Barmy Army. All right. Well, I remembered to run my ticker at the bottom. So if you follow, we're on the Twitch side. So if we're on Twitch, follow us over there. On the YouTube side, be sure you hit that like button. Hey, you like it? We do all kinds of stuff from Fortnite to sports like this to detours with my wife and talking about trips and stuff, and do all kind of fun things. Check out our playlist now and subscribe to the channel. We're at 237 subscribers right now. It'd be really cool to get 250 this month.
Ooh,
yes. It's great. One of my favorite things is getting to do stuff with people like you, Woopah, and thank you for being here. And hello to the missus. Hello, missus.
Hello.
Yes, she had I threw her a curveball earlier with last minute questions about the upcoming trip. But she was right on spot. But I'm sorry. Yes, we talk about the pimp cane. All right.
Oh, yeah. No, I was pretty much done. It was just, yeah, I've got the suit, the navy suit, full suit. Got the navy hat with the feathers in it to look just silly, and then I've got the walking cane. The hat and the cane combined cost me $50, which is I'm okay with spending $50 for a gimmick. And I'll tell you, the hat actually is nice. I don't know how much I'd wear it because I don't dress up a lot, but I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed it because I thought, oh, it's going to be silly. But I was like, oh, this looks pretty good, especially because it was $25. I thought it was going to be pretty cheap, and it ends up being pretty good quality for the most part. So, yeah, that's my.
That's the only thing is you need the only thing you need is the shoes.
Oh right? Yeah, I have some shoes hopefully getting shipped. I found someone my uncle wears a size. I'm aware of size 11.5. My uncle wears a size 12. I'd rather not wear the size 12, but if I have to for a day, I can borrow his shoes. So that thankfully it's less scary because at first I'm like, shoot. So I don't know if I had my other dress shoes, but just to give you a note on my dress shoes, I had to take some scissors to them at some point because strings were coming loose, and there was a hole to the point where you put your finger in the heel and you can touch your sock. So they were not good shoes at all. If it rained outside, my feet would have got wet. So it's definitely not wearing those for sure. But
that is definitely interesting. So, oh man, goodness. So yeah, I read about it in the tweets and stuff, and that was hilarious. And then somebody talked about the pimp outfit, and it's like I can just see it with the hat, the cane. So
it's not quite as on top, just because I'm using the navy suit, which the navy suit is a nice suit, but it's not, if I had more money, I could go all out, get the purple suit or something like that. But
you know what? That's when you got friends on Twitter and everything else. Just we all like to embellish it.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm excited about it. Just to be silly. Yeah, I enjoy being silly if everyone's in on the joke. It's one thing if you're just out in public and people are like, "Oh, look at that guy," but when it's people and you're being silly, that's always a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all righty. All right. We got three people with us. Hey, all right. Thanks for some Friday night football talk. It's been an interesting week, I will say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've had, and we'll bring out more general football sometimes. I know we focus on this with the XFL, but, since we got a few minutes anyway. And this week's going to be a little bit lighter because we only have really two games that we're going to review. And we're really going to put off a lot of our analysis of the championship game till next week. So we have a little more time to play around with some fun topics. But let's talk. Can we talk about the NFL draft for just a minute?
Sure.
Um, I know you're going to know what I think. That I'm really still shocked about the number 4 selection overall, and I ranted on that the other night. But were there any surprises that you saw with the NFL draft, or anything that just stood out to you?
So I'll say, in part, full disclosure, this is partly because it makes me mad in fantasy football. But Atlanta took a running back at 8th overall. Now Atlanta has a running back. They've drafted a rookie in the 5th round, which is not very high. But that rookie running back rushed for 1,000 yards last year on like 5 yards per carry. That's pretty
Yeah,
dang good. And then draft a first rounder, because there's two things that you worry about drafting a running back in the first round. The first one is injuries. That's a
right.
big thing about Christian McCaffrey, they say, because people are saying, well, he's one of the best running backs in the league when he's healthy. But they said, well, he misses so many games, he hasn't really been worth it. Um, and the other thing is contract. So running backs don't get paid that much actually in the NFL. I mean, to us it's great, but in opposed to other position players,
Mm-hmm.
they don't get paid a ton. Now, rookie contracts are, excuse me, standardized.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what position you play; it only matters where you were picked. So drafting a
Right.
guy at 8th overall, you're paying them a lot of money, to the
Yep.
point that, like, that's the big difference between quarterbacks and running backs. To say, if you draft a quarterback early, and he hits, it's really good, because that rookie contract is a lot cheaper than
Mm-hmm.
some of these just okay quarterbacks are signing for 40 million. A running back, you're drafting him and he's going to be making 10 million by the end of the year. That's about what
Yeah.
you'd pay for a prime running back. So
Yep. Let me say hello real quickly to Alaska Jeff. Jeff, good to see you
hello.
again tonight. Hey, thanks for coming in, hanging with us a little bit. One of the points that you made really, really good there, Whoopa, was that you know those running backs, they have short lifespans. They've gotten shorter and shorter over the years. Used to, you had the workhorse running backs. Now everybody's a specialist. You got a third down back. Case in point, Ezekiel Elliott was great coming out of college, was drafted high, got that rookie contract, but then when they went to sign him to an extension, they ended up paying him more than they, now they have to let him go because they have to get rid of that heavy contract because
Hmm.
you can't tie that much money up in one running back. Like you used to, at least with the way
Well,
that they run them. They don't use running backs like Emmett Smith anymore, or maybe in Marshall Faulk, where they were in every friggin' down, and it wasn't. You got to pull them out in third down. What I saw was Elliott. He spent half the game on the bench last season. You
yeah,
know.
I think it goes. There's two big things to this. The whole how running backs have been trending. I think one part of it is that the talent of running backs overall has increased. And I know you might say that sounds silly, but it's just the fact that, in the 2000s, even kind of the 2010s, there was a lot of, you had your top backs and then you had your lower backs. Like, yeah, Marshall Falk, Tiki Barber, guys like that,
Hmm.
like, they were so much better than their peers. Nowadays, there's a lot of running backs who, maybe not elite, but a lot of guys who you can have. Hey, this is pretty. This player is pretty good. He
Hmm.
might not be the top, but the difference between like the number one back and the number 20 back is not as big as it used to be. I guess I'd
Hmm.
say. Um, but I think a lot of it is just some of these workhorse backs. What they've seen is they run themselves into the ground. Um, and I think that's the biggest thing with Zeke is, I mean, I don't know, he was legitimately great for his first. I think he was the best running back in the league for the first 3 years, at least, maybe first four, and then you saw he started to decline, and a lot of that is just because, well, he's he's getting 300 touches a year, pretty much every year. Eventually that's going to wear down on you. And I think that's, kind of the Cowboys, I think, made a mistake extending him at least to as much as they did. Because on that rookie deal, he was fantastic. He would have been a great deal, but you can tell by the end of his contract there, he was cooked. He just wasn't the same running back he used to be.
And that's the problem is you're paying too much for that, for not enough production. It's and you can't tab that much money in a running back anymore. The league has changed from heavy run offenses to a lot more passing. You do have some of your running teams, but then it's more of a spread option, quarterback running, wide receivers running, not just that one dominant old school running back.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Not that old school doesn't have that. Like Marshall Faulk was one on my St. Louis Rams. He was amazing at every facet of the game. He could catch like a wide receiver if he wanted to. But nowadays, if you're a running back and you don't catch well, you're not going to make it very long in the league because, there's so much of the game is geared towards passing. They would rather have a running back in the backfield who can, run a short route if they need him or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge thing with them now. But I don't, and it's just kind of funny how that's changed over the years. And it just one of those things that just kind of happened, It just, you had your running backs, and then all of a sudden, I think it started with you lost the fullback, and because I read that the Jaguars drafted a fullback in this draft, and I'm like, what? Is there still such a thing as a fullback now?
I mean, it's very rare. The only guy I can think of who's a real high profile fullback now is that Kyle Juszczyk?
Yes.
I don't even.
Yes.
That guy is just. I mean.
Well, let me. Sorry, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Well, let me say, I just saw some Miss Martin Muses. Welcome, Miss Martin Muses. Awesome to have you here with us tonight. So sorry, Woopah. I know.
No, you're fine.
That's good.
But yeah, there's a lot of fullbacks don't really happen, and I think it's because there's not as much of a need for that big guy to run between the tackles and block for you. They've kind of went away from that. But another thing that is interesting, I wonder what's going to happen at the NFL draft. And I admittedly don't research this too much because tight ends are always weird.
Right.
But I think there were like 6 tight ends taken in the first 2 rounds, which is crazy to think about. That almost never happens. And a lot of them didn't have good receiving stats. So I'm wondering if they're going towards, because there was a time period where they're going towards the tight ends who can really catch the ball as well. But now they're going towards maybe. Now, I don't know. I don't know their college profiles of these guys, but I'm guessing they got drafted so high and they don't have good catching stats. They must be great blockers. So I'm wondering if they're just pulling it to that and saying,
but that's odd. That just seems so odd that you draft position players that high to not catch a ball or not produce, like Kyle Pitts, that was an easy case for a tight end. And I mean, who wants just a blocker? Because like the Cowboys have shown, you can just take a tight end and put them in the fullback position. I mean, and some of the tight ends are better catchers than others, depending, you split some out, others you don't, you bring them in to block. I know the Jaguars for many years had a tight end that never caught a ball. I mean, Damon Jones was a tight end that actually, when he caught a touchdown against New England playoff game, it was like a shock. It was a miracle. But then you had other tight ends, that do catch, that are more receiving. The Jay Novacek's, the Kyle Pitts, those type of guys,
Yeah. And it's hard to find guys who are both. Like the one guy who I think kind of made big waves, I don't know if you remember, was TJ Hawkinson. Because that was a guy he went really high in the draft. And that was a guy NFL scouts said, if he was just an offensive lineman, he would have still went in the first round. But and he's pretty good. He's also on my fantasy team, so I gotta like him. I'm contractually obligated.
Yep. And let me say hello to Stunning and Brave Megatron. Hey, he's here tonight. Yes, he's fresh off his honeymoon from Mara Jade. Well, I will have to tell you a little bit about that and the people in the chat. Well, last night we were over on Amanda Gillen Presents over on Twitch. It was like rating who you would like to have a good night with, who you'd like to eliminate, and who you would like to marry. And
I know that one.
Yeah. So, and he wanted to marry Mara Jade the whole time. It was all random, and he kept asking about Mara Jade, and he finally got Mara Jade. So that was a fun one we had last night over there. So, but yeah, welcome, my friend. So we got 6 people. Hey, folks, make sure you hit that like button on this YouTube side. Tweet it out, share, bring your friends. We're just getting some preliminary talk right now.
What did you say before?
What's that?
I forget. You said it, and now I bring. Was it something about bring drunks or something like that?
Bring your friends, your neighbors, your drunks. Yeah, Snortopoopas gave us that idea. Yeah, Snortopoopas said bring the drunks in. So, but yeah, we are at 237 subs. So hey, maybe we'll get to 250 very soon. But listen, this show and this all is not possible without you guys coming and chatting with us and spending time with us. And we love it. And also, if you have any questions, whether it's XFL specifically, and which we're about to get into, football in general, we'll talk any college, NFL, whatever you want to. Feel free to ask some questions. If there's something in the news, we'll try to talk about it. And this is kind of your shows. Yeah, and go ahead. We love lurkers too, Jeff. I know you got things going on, but hey, yes. And yeah, this was everyone killed Luke. So that was true. Yeah. Even the good Luke, but especially whiny Luke stood no chance. But anyway, join us, folks. If you have questions, be sure to put them out in chat and we'll try to deal with them. So, but yeah, that's what I said. It was like that you bring your neighbors, your dogs, your cats, your pets, the drunks, and things like that. So, and Jess is here now. Hello, Jess. Welcome, my friend. My friend. But like I said, this is not possible without you great people in the chat because y'all help make the streams even better. Go ahead, Woopah.
I've said, and I heard this from someone. I stole it from someone. Said if you guys weren't here, we'd just be 2 crazy people talking to each other.
Yeah. Which we could do, but it's a heck of a lot more fun having you guys out there in the chat. So
yeah, that's true. I guess I used to say that one when I streamed by myself. So if I was just talking to myself, that would be a little bit more concerning.
Well, it's kind of I'm doing different things, and I find it, especially when I do try to do something solo, that it really is important to have a chat out there that's involved with you because it gives me something to talk to and play off of. When you have somebody with you, you can share a load and things like that. But and that's why I'm trying to work doing some more streams by myself too, is to get the practice of talking and engaging and things like that. My hat's off to all you guys and ladies that have been doing this for a long time because I've learned a lot of practical lessons and how it's so easy to say, oh, this is easy. It's not as easy as it looks sometimes. So
you should get Aang to set you up with some Pokemon so you can so you can have a Pokemon stream. That's my opinion.
Well, we had one before. We'll have to get another Pokemon stream too. But yeah,
you can play the game now. You can set it up on your computer and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I might have to do that then because Aang is my kid, my youngest, that is built a massive Twitch empire herself. So it's like, and like over 1,200 followers on Twitch and just, the funny thing was as a parent, you're like, when your kid comes to you and asks you, they need their social security number. You're like, why? What you doing? Like, I'm monetized. We're like, what? So, but yeah, hey, my goodness. So, but it's all good and fun. But hey, thank you all for being here. All right, Woopah, let's talk XFL football. We completed week 10. Last week we got the first round of the playoffs in, which are only two playoff rounds.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll bring it up, and we'll start looking at last week's games and go from there.
Yeah, so let's get started with this one. A little bit of the surprising result. Now, I know you called it a
Mm-hmm.
bit, saying, "Hey, anything can happen in that third matchup," but I sure didn't expect this. It was kind of a blowout, and it all really happened in the first half here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Renegades, who had one of the worst defenses or worst offenses in the league, and struggled to even score 20 points, let alone win the game.
146 points through 10 regular season games. So that's
Yeah.
14.6 points per game by Arlington. And that's even after playing 3 or 4 games with Luis Perez, who's been given credit for galvanizing the team by Coach Bob Stoops.
Yeah, and I think he 100% deserves it. You're talking about. And I think this is an interesting result just because maybe I wonder if maybe it gets people. Well, I guess it depends on how they play in the championship game. But a lot of people said, "Hey, what are the Renegades doing here? They suck." And here they are, winning an away playoff game by a whole lot. And yeah, Luis Perez has really been the difference. He's doing something that none of the other quarterbacks could do. I don't know if any other quarterback had 2 passing touchdowns in a game before he came in for the Renegades. And he has 3 in this game, 289 passing yards on 19 for 27 passing. And he had a couple of home run shots to Javonta Payton, who I didn't know about before this game. Um, And a big thing, I know when I went into this, I was talking about Donald Payne. He said, yeah, he's out for the season. Apparently, he
Mm-hmm.
was not because I looked him up and sure enough, he's on the roster. And he led the team in tackles, 7 solo, 3 assisted. He's been a big part of this game. Houston still had a pretty good defense. They did shut down the Renegades in the second half. I think they might not have allowed a point. But
Mm-hmm.
the big thing is their quarterback play has just been not great. I do think they had Brandon Silvers in a little bit, but they benched him for Cole McDonald. And just look at this stat line. And this has really been the downfall. The Houston Renegades, Brandon Silvers was looking like a potential offensive player of the year
Mm-hmm.
for a while for the first 4 or 5 games, and he really fell off. They put Cole McDonald in. He showed some promise, but a lot more negative. And then when Brandon Silvers got back into the lineup, he just didn't look like himself anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, Cole McDonald. Oh, sorry.
Brandon Silvers was 3 of 6 for 22 yards. So that's how bad how anemic he was. Really, it really was not good.
But look at this, 9 for 25, only 82 passing yards. They did have the 47 rushing yards, but still, it's just a dismal pass attack. But,
Yeah, I mean 9 yards of completion with a pick. Yeah, it's just not what you expect to be in a championship game, and then you're at home. It's a home playoff game. They
yeah,
did run for 132 yards, which was kind of a impressive performance as a team, but still, you know, you lose the home playoff game. I mean, uh, only 11 points. Like you said, it was really a first half game. I think 23-8 at the half.
yeah.
So,
And these are 2 very good defensive teams, which is why it's surprising that Houston led up 26 to them.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what I really amazed me with Luis Perez's game, though, with those stats that he's well over 10 yards of completion. Um, then he 3 passing touchdowns. I mean, that's incredible in this league. That does not happen that often in this league. And just no turnovers, protected the ball, and his performance. Because I'd seen flashes of this in some of the games that I'd watched earlier this year, but they could never get the ball in the end zone. It's like they moved and stopped, moved and stopped.
No, it was pretty rough for them.
Mm-hmm.
Their quarterbacks were just not very good. Um, I don't know why they stuck with them for so long, but they did get Luis Perez, and he's really turned around this whole team. Because you're looking at everything else, nothing else really changed a ton on their offense. It really is Luis Perez, and it's looked so much better lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. This was the first. This is why they brought him in, though, to deliver. To deliver some points, to deliver some offense.
Yeah. And well, he did that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big thing about Luis Perez was sometimes he had a lot of turnovers, which is true. But
Mm-hmm.
the two things are, first of all, he threw some touchdowns with that, and that's more than Arlington had at the time. But secondly, look at no turnovers this game. He's been a lot better at protecting the football with Arlington, so that's very positive for him.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. But also they had an added benefit of Devion Smith with 94 yards on the ground too.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those rare league games where an offense clicked both running and passing. It wasn't a one sided, you know, offense that it was. We've seen teams run the ball like DC early in the year to the detriment of the passing game. We've seen passing teams that don't run the ball. So let me say hello to Rowan McPhee. Hello, Rowan McPhee. Welcome tonight. Exactly. So this really was what the Renegades did. Now, your point though, like you said, it was frustrating last year where your 7-3 St. Louis team misses the playoffs to a team that did not have a winning record. Well, then a team now with a losing record beats the division winner that had a winning record.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. To me, it makes me feel, I guess, a little better about it, just because you can, I guess you can say that this team deserved it. I think the expectation, certainly my expectation, was Houston was going to blow this team out. And you're sitting there saying, what? You couldn't have, St. Louis would have put up a better fight at the very least. But then Arlington wins, and, you're in the championship. You're thinking, hey, maybe it was worth it after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So, hey. But, I go back to the point, like I said, with this game, that it just was amazing that I'm not surprised by this, though. How many times, like I said, when you have to face a team 3 times in the same year, things happen. It gets difficult.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised just because, they faced off last week and Houston blew them out. But I guess the big thing is quarterback play. Not that their quarterback play was excellent last week, but Cole McDonald only had he went 10 for 11, only one incompletion, and the defense shut him down. But Cole McDonald did a lot worse today. He struggled in the passing game. Brandon Silver still not getting it done, and if the passing game can't get them done, and Houston doesn't have an excellent running game, they have a decent one, but not excellent. If you can't establish the pass, how are you going to, gain yards and get what you need to do?
Yeah, their carries. Houston on the average per carries was not bad. 25 for 132 as a team. That's over 5 yards a carry. Normally that's good. Borgie was about 7 yards a carry. Cole McDonald was roughly at 7 yards a carry. So they had good averages, but the passing was just 33 less. Well, it was a little bit over a third of the passes, 12 of 31, but only 93 yards. Those are some really, really short passes. You're not doing much. You're not stretching the field. I'm kind of amazed that they were able to run that well, considering those passing numbers.
Yeah, it is pretty surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, Javonte Payton, like you've got there, that's a big performance. You did not see many of those type of performances in this league this year, and especially from Arlington. That's 289 yards net receiving. You got 121 with him and 60 for Caleb Vander Esch. It's just it was really a offensive blast or explosion for this team.
Mm-hmm.
So I still love the name Sal Canella. It's so close to salmonella that every time I hear it, I think that it's like, yeah, it's just too
Yeah.
funny. But yeah, hey, all right. Well, we got anything else on this game, or I don't know how much more. This was such a one-sided butt kicking that you know it really, you know, like I said, the three times in 1 year anything can happen, but I did not necessarily expect it to be this one-sided. It was not
Yeah.
even close at 23-8 at the half. It just was not. It was bad, I will say. And this was supposed to be probably well, the better of the. I don't know. That's not. You expected this game to be a little tighter than this. You did, even though the records are deceiving. The Renegades had lost quite a few close games. I mean, it just was not. Just they were close losses. They just didn't score enough points. Had they scored more points, they might have had a few more wins this season.
Yeah, but I mean, you go the other way too. I know at least two of their wins were by. I know they had a win by 1 point and a win by 2 points. So even their wins weren't that big of a
Mm-hmm.
win either. So
And I was looking at one of the Roughnecks scoring drives. 5 plays, 13 yards to get a field goal. It's like, dang, your offense really did stink it was a 32-yard field goal, so they kicked from, say, the 22, so they're about the 15-yard line. So when you get the ball in that kind of position, you've got to score touchdowns on
yeah,
that
and
side of the field.
if you went five plays, it means you got a first down on the first play most likely, and then
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do anything else. Couldn't
Yeah,
get anything going the whole rest of the way.
yeah, yep, exactly. So, all right. Well, that's our first game.
All right, so we go to the North Division Championship game, and honestly, pretty much another blowout here. DC stomps the Sea Dragons 37-21. So this was a rain game, and it was very interesting because there were so many drops. You look at 31 for 48, which I don't think is bad completion percentage, but it's not the best. But it's hard. A lot of it was not Ben DiNucci's fault. He threw a lot of passes that just didn't, the receivers dropped. And that's why I wanted to point out the whole thing. Usually I don't put targets in with someone, but you see Jawan Green, 8 catches for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also he's had 16 targets. So only caught half of his targets. And I'm sure that some of them were poor throws, but a lot of them you could see they hit him and just dropped it.
Yep.
And so the rain conditions really affected Seattle, but it didn't really affect the DC too much. You can see Jordan Ta'amu, 19 for 31, 258 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions, the Antoine Brooks, I don't know if you saw that one. It was ridiculous. So Ta'amu made kind of a bad pass, but it was kind of low risk bad in the sense he threw it where it sounds weird, but it's like he threw it to where it was very light. Like it would be lucky if it got to the receiver. At the same time, it was kind of high enough that it was like, hey, they'll probably either miss it or someone will tip it away. And someone did reach up, tipped it, and like the safety Antoine Brooks, who hadn't had the, who was not ready for it to be tipped. He was trying to make a play on the receiver, and then he sees it gets tipped. He like contorts himself, and like midair gets like one hand on the ball and brings it in. And while he's falling, he makes sure it doesn't hit the ground or anything. It was a crazy interception. I remember watching that thinking, holy cow, did that really just happen? That was one of the better plays of the game. And the interesting thing was at the half, wasn't too bad of a game. It was really, and once the second half started, I mean, I think DC was still doing good, still in the lead. No, were they tied? Or but it was a close game at half. But the second half, they just came out and were killing it, and Seattle had no answer. And the big thing about it is, I don't have their numbers up right now, but their running game. So Seattle had one running back active for this game. It was Philip Lindsay. Let me look at it. Hold on. I'll pull it up because it was pretty ugly.
Mm-hmm.
They had 5 carries all game. You see the 3 from Ben DiNucci here for 16 rushing yards, and they had 2 from Philip Lindsay for -3 yards.
Yeah.
So they had, and that was their only running back active. They had no one else but him, which I will say, they said, hey, Philip Lindsay came here to get some positive game tape. I don't think he's gotten that. I think he might have got the opposite. But no, to think they ran 5 times, and I'll tell you, I don't think any of the DiNucci, maybe one of them was a planned run, but most of the carries by DiNucci were just scrambles because the pocket was collapsing. So
yeah. Well, the problem is with him is that, the drops. I mean, he completed 31 passes. There's 17 incompletions. It's like so many of them just hit the receivers in the hands. I mean, I know the ball was wet. You can see on the video replays of plays, cameras, there's water on all of it, but it's like, you're just like, oh my God, it's like there's too much wet. These were catches that shouldn't have been because of wet ball or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just drops. I mean, they just really stunk with the drops. And your point about 5 carriers, I don't think I've ever seen it. I know June Jones hates running, but still, it's just like crazy.
It's not a recipe to win because they know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I guess you got to watch because DiNucci's mobile, but having a QB spy is different than planning for a run.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not a really good plan for them, and DC spread around the ball a lot. There was not really one contributor that I could highlight on offense.
And
there were so many.
And again, I think you're going to probably talk about one of the league awards in a little bit, because I mean it involves a player in this game here, but Jordan Ta'amu, I mean, not just him. Look at this whole stupid DC offense. We were picking on this offense early in the season. 5 completions or whatever there is. That type of stuff. We were picking on it because it was like the old Bear Bryant, little bit of run, a lot of run, a little bit of pass, and look at them. They're completely the opposite now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got even Derek King was 4 or 5 for 41 yards.
And he came in because I think Ta'amu left with a head injury at one point.
And they flipped these things. The stats flip between, they're 2-to-1 passing over running and stuff. And yeah, we're stinkers, Squeaka. We're not quite stinky cheese yet. But hey, welcome, my friend.
Do we want to be stinky cheese or do we not want to be?
I don't know. I'll be whatever anybody wants me to be. So if they like stinky cheese, I'll be blue cheese, whatever it has to be, or whatever. But hey, thank you everybody that are here tonight. Good to see you. All right. So, but yeah, this Jordan Ta'amu, he played. Let's talk about him for a little bit. He played in St. Louis back in 2022. Oh, thank you for not talking about us. Yes, those people that can't catch the ball. Yes, don't. Yes, they were a bunch of stinkers. I mean, the missus could have caught it. You could have caught the ball. It's like this was like, God, it was embarrassing how bad it was. And blue cheese, no, yeah, I know. Oh man, the one cheese that I think Squeaka does not like.
The only cheese that Squeaka won't eat. Fair enough.
Well, I tell you what. I don't like blue cheese. I don't like any of that. And Stunning now comes in with I'll be cheesecake just like the women I draw. Hey, I'm beefcake like the stud I am, Stunning. So hey. Okay. This is a leftover from that little thing we did last night. So I'm all on myself tonight. Yeah. I always said, yeah, I always said, it's like I said, the line is, my dad always told me, like, I used to the miss, could use the missus, like, hey, babe, I'm the make fed head you created for. So, anyway.
Jeez.
Oh, hey, listen, Squeak it. No, any Balzette stunning will tell you I rated his draw stream one time and we got on the cake while he was drawing. So it's like whenever I show up, food is involved. So you know what? It's all fair if you show up, it's cheese talk. So,
Hey, I talk.
but hey, we can always call. What's that?
Oh, I was saying I managed to usually for a while there I could manage to make every chat I went to about Pokemon. I was pretty good at that.
Hey, Ash, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello.
Hey, we're doing great. We're great. Actually, yeah, you just missed Woopah talking about more Pokemon coming up. So
Yes,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I said
But hey,
Pokemon, and Ash was like, "What? What's going on?"
he heard it. uh, all right, football equals cheese for me. All right, Squeaka, next season we gotta get back to it. But yeah, I like. I will. This is what we're doing. This football in the spring keeps it going. Yeah, nope. And Mega didn't share his cookie. Nope. Yeah. So no, I don't think Mega is prepared to share many things. So, but hey. Oh gosh, so we had a good team and a stinky team in this, but like I was saying with Jordan Tam, how he was. You've had a chance to watch him this season. How does he look compared to when you saw him in St. Louis? Because he could not have had these kind of passing numbers.
So he has developed into a better passer as the season goes on. When I saw him live, he was still not doing very good, honestly. Um, I know in St. Louis he was not a bad passer. Um, he was more like what set him apart was he was more mobile than the other guys, but the biggest thing for him, and it's one of the best known plays that he had, is there was a guy who sacked him or was trying to sack him
Mhm.
and grabbed his legs, and Tiamu kind of moved to get him around, and then the guy was just holding onto his legs, and with the guy holding onto him, he just stood there and completed a first down, a crucial first down, and it was like, oh man, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he was not bad, but he's definitely come a long way. Watching him now versus what he was, I think week 5 was when he came to the St. Louis, and that was a game they beat us on the ground. They did not really, they didn't do much on the air. We stopped him, so it's hard to say, I guess, on that end.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I saw him, he was still not doing great in the air. So
No, definitely not. Because I'm going to go back to that. You said week 5.
yeah,
Okay, week 5. Let's look at week 5 here. Let's see. We'll
bringing up
bring up
bad
the.
memories.
Yep, they managed to win 28-18. Let me get the box score. Sorry, Whoopa. Sorry, I don't mean to. See, this is what I Swoop. Listen to this. I don't care what Super Whoopa talks about. I could listen all day.
Oh,
Dude, I tell you, you're a great voice. You got a great voice, and you know your stuff, man. Hey,
I guess so. I never liked my voice, but I guess no one likes their voice. It's kind of
no,
normal.
I hate my voice. Oh my god, talk about country redneck. I'm not even country, so. But let's look here. Look, as an example for people to see. Well, let's look back at week 5. DC comes into St. Louis, wins the game 28-20, but Tamu 18 pass attempts, only 90 yards.
Yeah, 12 for 18, 90 yards, and only 23 yards on an 8 carry. So we stopped him. We stopped him on the ground. We just couldn't stop Abram Smith. He ran all over us. That was the problem. But their passing attack, we stopped him totally. Maybe one day I'll read some books. I can
Yeah,
read.
maybe
I can
so.
read some bedtime stories.
There you go. With plenty of cheese in it. Or Pokemon books. You can find Pokemon books.
I
So
have a Pokemon kids book. It's this is a really bad book though.
Oh
I thought it
gosh.
was like, oh, it was like,
Yeah.
it's like too childish to the. I'm like, because someone said, hey, I have a Pokemon children's book, and I thought, oh, I can give it to someone, or if not, maybe it's like a collectible. And they gave it to me. I'm like, oh, this book sucks, because there's still well, there's still kids book. I remember people reading me, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh man, those are like one of my favorite books was To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. That
Yep.
was a great book that I always read, and that's still a it's a kid's book, but it's still a really good book. This was like I can't imagine how anyone would want this.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. I'm trying to go back a little bit on some of these things. So let's see. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and look back because see, looking back, a couple of the games early in the year, he had some decent performances, but did not like what they've done lately.
Well,
See,
and
like,
most of his good performances were
mhm,
like, hey, he did really good on the ground. It wasn't really him doing good in the air.
yeah. Let's see, like here's one here that they had week 2 against the Vipers. I mean, score all their points in the second half. He's 12 of 25, under 50%, less than 10 yards of completion. But as a team, they ran for 230 yards.
Yeah, and he was a
So,
big part of that. 65 yards on 12 carries is pretty dang good.
hmm exactly. So we got that. Um, I've learned to make sure I take things down as I flip between screens. You never know if something pops up unexpectedly. So,
Why? What you got on the other tabs, Dan, man?
uh, nothing, nothing. Actually, my old
Sure.
kid was in college, and somebody was giving a presentation to like a
Oh no.
thing, and yeah, and my kid told the missus the guy should have checked his browser history because they saw
Oh,
it all. It's like, hello,
gosh.
yeah. So here, the worst would be showing everybody's Twitter handles and stuff like that. But hey, let's see, like in here, Jordan Tamu, 8 of 19, 86 yards. There's still 10 yards of completion. And really look how bad this offense was at to
Oh
begin the
yeah.
season. It truly
It
was
was.
not a good offense, and for what it's become, it truly is a team that has transformed itself. And we can talk a little bit more about this with next week because I don't mean to be getting off so much in the team. I'm just trying to show players. I'm kind of leading into the story that we're going to be talking about a little bit about some of the awards, particularly Jordan Ta'amu and what he has done over the course of a season. What
Mhm.
he's done is very, very impressive for any quarterback of any league to really basically become from one type of offense, from a running dominated offense, to really what would consider a modern open offense, in any league.
Mhm. No, I definitely did a much better job. Um, him stepping up and the coaching changing and adjusting, it's altogether exactly what you need.
Hmm Yeah, because I think at week 5 when they played you guys, I think from then on it became a different offense. It
Yeah.
became more. It developed. I think the first time y'all played them, they threw for 100 yards, but it still wasn't the same. So, but hey, we talk more about that. But so we got that with Jordan Tamu. Anything else about this game? The biggest thing to me was the way the Sea Dragons just didn't even give themselves a chance. That was a frustrating game to watch for anybody to see the number of passes dropped. There
Yeah,
were
the
so
two
many dropped. So if he had 17 incompletions, I'm telling you, at least 10 of those incompletions had to be drop passes, not bad throws.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right, and I think it's kind of just the one thing that I think was interesting is kind of, I guess, I always thought it was weird how people gave up on Danucci so early. Obviously, he had a rough time, but he was a rookie seventh rounder, and you're like, oh, he's got potential. But what I've seen throughout the league, and you saw this pretty clear in this game, he's fighting with people on the sidelines, and it's like I think he's got some pretty big maturity issues, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does look like one of those Gardner Minshew type quarterbacks, kind of the rough and ready rumble type of guy, not necessarily the most
No,
disciplined.
because Gardner Minshew is cool. This guy's not
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've got him on my fantasy team, Gardner Minshew. But no, Gardner Minshew is kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the best quarterback, but he kind of gave off a vibe of like, hey, he's rough. He's uh, just like you get a lot of the guys who are. You see it a lot in guys who are more fringe players. Maybe a guy who's been, even if they're a fringe player now, maybe they didn't have to work a lot to keep their starting job. They'll be the guys more likely to slide or run out of bounds or such, which is not bad
Mhm.
in itself. But a guy like Gardner Minshew is the guy. He's diving for he's diving head first into the touchdown or something like that, trying to get the extra yards. Uh,
Right.
but
Well,
he's got the stash. You can't
that's
go
what
wrong
was
with
cool with
that.
Gardner Minshew because he played here for that one season until they drafted um, Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence,
Mm-hmm.
and that stash was a big thing and all that, and it's kind of a shame it didn't work out because he's probably going to be a journeyman quarterback because he doesn't have that typical NFL stuff that they want. But what's sad is that you put him around enough good players, I think he could be a better than average NFL quarterback. Which is
I hope
which is
so because I have him. So
yeah. Well, but the problem is he's got to get on the field to get you points in fantasy though.
well, we'll see. I know something you're talking about. That's what I was talking about with um what's his name? Oh, your favorite player, Anthony Richardson, went to the
Yeah.
Colts. Uh, well, that's the team that the Gardner Minshew just signed with him, or
Mhm.
not just signed. He signed before the
Yeah.
draft. So
Yep.
I obviously they're going to want to give Anthony Richardson some time, but the hope is, I mean, Anthony Richardson is a project. You got to imagine Gardner Minshew starts day one for the Colts, and maybe if Anthony Richardson doesn't progress well, uh, get an extended look.
hmm I just saw this. We were talking about voices earlier. Do you know who Frank Welker is?
I don't. Am I supposed to? Is that a
Okay.
bad thing? I'm
I don't
sorry.
know. I didn't know. Stunning. Stunning. I wonder if it's a transformer or something. So hey, but that's awesome. So all right. Well, hey, that is anything else about this wonderful game? I mean, the biggest thing, like I said, was all the drop passes. It just was bad. And the second half, it was tied at 9 at the half, though. That's what's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a close game, and then it just blew out in the second half because um, and folks, you see so many sixes because the extra points are not kicked like the NFL, so it's usually going for two a lot of times, and then you don't make them a lot. But yeah, it's because in the first half you had both teams got a touchdown and missed a 2-point conversion and a field goal, so it was 9-9. And then Abram Smith comes out, takes a 1 yard carry in on a 78-yard drive, then followed up the next drive with Ethan Wolf, a 26-yard pass from Jordan Ta'amu, extended the lead 21-9. Um, then one more touchdown because I saw it at 21-9. Then all of a sudden 29-9 because another rushing touchdown and then a 1-point conversion. Seattle finally gets a touchdown with a 34-yard pass from Ben DiNucci, pulls in, cuts the lead in half to 30-15. And then, this was also a game that the Sea Dragons just in the second half could not stop DC. When DC got rolling, there was no stopping them.
No, that's the thing. Those two interceptions from Tiamu, I mean, one of them really, it kind of didn't feel like his fault because it was just a really great play by the defense. But
Mm-hmm.
that was well, he made one pretty bad throw and then the other interception. That's kind of the only reason I think it was close. And if they couldn't get those turnovers, which they couldn't get one in the second half, it was kind of over for them. Because
Mm-hmm.
the it looked like DC was the better team all game, pretty much. They
Yeah.
dominated. Even if it was tied at the second. While it was tied at the second, you could tell which side momentum was on.
Yeah. Well, but see, Dragons couldn't get any momentum. I mean, they moved the ball and kept ending possessions because of the drops.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, and I'm not kidding, because when I saw, it'd be neat to see the stat tracker if there was such a one. In Danucci's 17 incompletions, I tell you, half of them had to be drops. I mean, and drops not that are from bad passes or because of the wet ball. It's just hit them in the damn hands. It hit them in the chest. I mean, they just dropped easy catches. So, and that's what, that's what stinks. You get to championship game and then you do it, because especially when you're a road team, you can't have that happen. Contrast this road team versus Arlington on the road at Houston, and just played a complete game for probably the first time all year, defensively and offensively. So even though we got a 4-6 team, or I guess 5-6 if you add it, against a 10-1 team in the championship game, it might be a better matchup now than we thought, or maybe a better matchup than if Houston had won the South Division.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. I got this little thing right here.
All right, let's look at it. Yes, yes, we've pretty much killed that game to death. So let's move on.
But we've got the DC moving on and Arlington moving on, both winning.
Hey, let me stop you a second real quick, Woopah. Folks, this is why you need to come around whenever Woopah's around on this show, anytime, because Woopah brings the heat. I always have to, remember the missus with all her graphics and stuff like that and all to keep me going on my football streams. Woopah is a master of these graphics. He did it for March Madness. He's doing it for football again. So anytime you see Woopah around, check him out, whether he's on another channel, his channel, or here. Woopah brings some great stuff, and these graphics are amazing, though, Woopah. Let's see, you got it.
Thank you.
Absolutely, exactly. You bring the heat. Oh wow! Woohoo! I think you made his night, Squeaker. Hey. All right, but I'm serious. Your graphics are just off the chart good, and I appreciate your hard work on all this, and I just want to say it where people can hear me say that. So
yeah, well, thank you.
Absolutely. So now we need a picture. You can put the Woopah over your face, but we got to see Pimp Daddy outfit sometime.
Maybe I'll have to see if I can figure that out for Photoshop.
Okay, I'm sure you'll get people out there begging for that. But hey, all right. Back to the playoff bracket. We had the DC Defenders against the Arlington Renegades. Dude, we should go to San Antonio.
I thought about it, but I only wanted to go to San Antonio if Battlehawks were there.
Well, you know what's so strange to me with this one? That they did not, with a league this small with 8 teams, why they chose the neutral site game. What about San Antonio versus DC or Arlington? I mean, why did they pick San Antonio with Alamo Dome? Maybe it was a better stadium. You had St. Louis. You had other cities, or my experience, say like National Arena League, which is a arena football league, which I might go to a game this year. You know why?
Why is that?
They brought back the nets to that league because I guess with the AFL going bankrupt, I'm sure that somehow with bankruptcy laws, that trademark that the AFL that had it, so none of the other indoor football leagues could use the nets. They have it in the NAL, which to me is the one reason why I quit going to the games, because, and you know what, games I see have 50, 60 points both teams. So sorry, I got hormonal and digressed on that thing, but my point being on this one is I'm really surprised in a league like this with so few teams, they didn't go with the division winner with the best record. You know what I mean?
I understand why they wouldn't. I was kind of surprised why they did San Antonio of all teams, just because, it would kind of be. I feel like it would be an unfair advantage if you have, if San Antonio had made the playoffs, which they almost did, and they almost made it over Arlington, and look, they could have totally won this game. in theory.
And we know San Antonio almost snuck in on Arlington had John Parker Romo made that field goal.
If only he had made the field goal. But no,
Because
like
that's right. Because San Antonio would have made it had he made that field goal, right?
Yeah, they would have been over. Well, yeah, they would have made it.
They had the tiebreakers on Arlington.
So
Wow.
It's just crazy to think about, and sucks. And I was hoping that I guess I would be kind of wondering, hey, what the heck if San Antonio kind of got a home game at the end, just for the sake of they got lucky. I know in the 2020 XFL it didn't happen, but they were talking about they actually had an agreement to have that in Jerry World
in 2020.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it didn't happen. But I wish there would be something like that. I guess this was cheaper because they've already got the rights to the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
This group is a lot cheaper, but man, it would have been cool to say like, hey, we're playing this game in a neutral, some neutral site, some big NFL stadium. That would have been so cool.
Well, let me say hello to Balzette. Welcome. Hi there.
Hello. What's Star Rail?
Oh, it's a new Star Rail. It's a new video game out there. Like Squeaker says, people are playing it like crazy. So
that was actually the first time I've heard of it.
I've only heard it referenced. Look, it takes all I can do to play Fortnite. I don't need too many other games in my head. But yeah, it's that would have been interesting having it in a stadium that size or a bigger stadium. That would have been interesting to see. But they've had that happen though, the possibility before of a team playing at its home games. But like in this case, everything usually works against it, and it did work. It worked against it again here in this case. That San Antonio. I finally saw that field goal. I saw it on the small recap thing that before, but I finally saw it on a real big screen. He did not miss that field goal by much. And amazing.
No, it was close. And the frustrating thing is they iced the kicker and he went through and kicked it and he made it like the first time.
Yes.
And it's like,
but to highlight this to the people out there, because this is why I say we can turn sports nerdy and geeky and all this other stuff too, because he missed 2 field goal attempts all year, the first kick of the year and the last kick of the year. I mean, how hard and crushing is that? Been perfect after his first miss, then the season on the line, a playoff berth on the line, and you miss it. You miss it wide right, like an FSU Seminole kicker. So, that's crazy. But yeah, so we got DC and Arlington playing in San Antonio, so I can just imagine how big the crowd's going to be.
Oh yeah, I guess Arlington might show up. I don't know. We'll see.
They might. Yeah. But I'm sure DC won't travel too much, but we'll know,
DC's I think they're probably the second biggest market in the XFL right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
For people showing up.
Well, if they had the game in Orlando, I would consider going to the game in Orlando. I'd drive 2.5 hours down the road to watch, I think that. So if you're in Texas, go watch the championship game in San Antonio. Make a day trip of it. Of course, I don't know what traffic's like or anything like that.
I don't know what traffic would be like, but I know that the tickets are pretty cheap, I think, because I think they're opening up the whole stadium and hoping to get a lot of people to go.
Wow. That's something.
And the Alamo Dome has a pretty good capacity.
Well, what about St. Louis where you are? Did they open the upper decks or did they only force people into the lower bowl?
So they did open them up for like one game. They just didn't have the fans, which is not like, I guess it sounds negative, but we're talking about an NFL stadium, 55,000. We already sold, we already had the 5 biggest crowds. Now, we know those numbers are maybe a little bit falsely inflated versus ticket sales versus tickets, versus actual attendance. But still, especially that first game, it was packed. And they had a good amount of the upper deck open up. So it was pretty jumping.
Well, because see what they've done here where we are, even in the Arena Football League team, which kind of annoys me, they're forcing everybody to the lower bowl, even indoors. And I like to get upstairs and I spread out. I'm like, screw you. I want cheaper and I want to be higher and I don't want to sit on top of people. I was that way even before 2020. When I go to a game, it's like, fuck you, leave me alone. Oops, sorry. Yeah, but it's
That
like,
man
leave
is
me alone.
mad.
Get over there. My favorite damn game was the damn ACC championship game. Oh, well, let me say hello to Bucky's Crafting. Hey, Bucky. Can't
Bucky.
stay. Thought I'd stop and leave a like. Hello. Watch y'all later. Thank you. Yes. Also, hit that like button, sub if you haven't. And please go watch the videos later. Leave comments, all that stuff. Play with the algorithms. We're at 237 subscribers. We grew this last couple of days really quickly. So 13 away from 250. And who knows what I'll do. Yeah, I'm getting wild. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, you should have heard me last night, Palzette. That was crazy. Uh,
Oh
but
gosh.
oh my gosh, and the Mrs. Answers had me all fired up. Damn. Anyway, let me not digress. God dang it. Now I'm hot again and I'm distracted. But okay. Favorite
Football.
game I ever went to, ACC championship game. It was here 3 years in SEC country. And those jackasses thought, first year you had Florida State, Virginia Tech. Great matchup. Okay. Sellout. Next year, in a pissy raining game, you got Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. Two small private schools in the friggin' ACC. Who the hell's going to go watch that?
And
Then the next
especially in
year, you
Florida.
got Virginia. Yeah, exactly. And then, because the whole concept was that Miami and Florida State, one of those two teams would be there. And Virginia Tech has always traveled, even down here for bowl games. And then the last year, we got Virginia Tech and Boston College, a damn Yankee ass school from the Northeast. And it's like, dude, the friggin' marching band was like 20 people. And you expect the
that's
people
sad.
down here, and they got pissed and took their games and left to Carolina and Atlanta doing what the shit that they're doing. But we were unfairly judged based on the crap we were given for 2 years. The 1 year we got a decent matchup, people showed up. It was primetime ABC. But the point, my favorite game was that Virginia Tech Boston College game because that Matt Ryan guy, the Mr. So-called great quarterback.
Oh, Matt Ryan.
Yes.
So this was a
Yes.
while ago. Dang, old man.
This was his senior year. We go there, my friend, my oldest kid, we're going, walking up, and we get up to the upper deck, and like, there's a table. Hey, upgrade for $10 to the bottom level, and blah, 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 this stuff. We walk out there. There's nobody around us when we're up there. There's nobody at the concession stands. We walk out there. There's about 5 people on our side of the stadium in the upper deck. We're like, fuck that. We're not paying. No, you pay us to move down. But we're like, we had our own bathrooms. They had to worry. You could have licked probably off those toilet seats. They were
I wouldn't recommend that.
I wouldn't do it. But dude, this was how it was. Assuming that they cleaned them. That's
a bold assumption.
We have, really, yeah. But we had our own private bathrooms. We had our own private concession stands. That's like, God, it's like perfect. That's my type of sitting in a game, watching it for fun. Because I know you said you had the drama at the food lines this year in your stadium.
I don't remember what happened.
No, you had to wait forever for the.
Oh yeah, that was mostly just because my dad doesn't do football games like I do.
Yeah,
because I'm very methodical. Mm-hmm. My thing is, hey, you eat and you drink outside the stadium. Then you get in the stadium, and you're good. Unless you're to the point of like, hey, I think I'm gonna be sick if I don't eat anything, or if it's just you walk by and you're like, oh, there's like 2 people in this line. Otherwise, it's like, hey, you're not going to go.
I'm laughing, Woopah, because I was like, dear God, we need maybe have the missus or have Bowsette or somebody follow you and me around. Have Dad Man and Woopah go to a football game. We would be like the odd couple.
No, it's just like,
I mean, I like to eat and drink outside, but usually when a game, I like something in my hand, drinking or something
well,
else.
you're not supposed to do that in the stadium.
What's that?
Nothing. I didn't say.
But yeah, but I like concessions when they're reasonably priced. But
It depends. So it depends if you're talking a baseball game or not. Baseball game, I have to get something, and it feels like it's part of the tradition, but it's also just they got some dang good stuff there. I don't think the concessions at this. There's so many things that you eat at the ballpark that's like this stuff is just better than what you can get elsewhere. I don't think that's the case. In my opinion, for a lot of football games, there's just a lot of stuff where it's like I could get this anywhere.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But I like my sodas. I'd like a drink at least.
See, my thing is just I'm a very active fan, but I'm cheap. I'm a cheap bastard.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I don't like to spend money, and there's so many things where it's like for this. And the only reason I compromise is for the baseball games, just because, man, some of those, you get the loaded nachos. That's heaven right there. It's like, oh my goodness.
That's how you end up on the news for the wrong reason, Woopah.
Hey, it wasn't me doing that.
I will tell you, there are two things that we did with over time where we ate dinner at some games. One was our minor league baseball stadium before they built it, made this big loitering thing with all the yuppies that sit there and stand. Now these modern stadiums, they stand on the concourses talking and drinking instead of watching the damn game. They're That's loitering, lame. And it's like the old stadium was like everything was like cheaper. They had 50-cent hot dogs, Tuesday family feast nights, 50-cent hot dogs, 50-cent ice cream treats, 50-cent sodas. They're small. Dude, with the family growing up, the kids were small. We'd go there. We'd eat dinner there for that. The arena football team, they had a local barbecue place for like $10. You got 3 ribs and fries. It was like, damn, it was really, really good.
Pretty good.
That I don't mind, but I know what you're saying when you're paying $11 for a frozen cheeseburger and fries that have been sitting there for 3 hours. You're like, crazy.
Yeah, no, and I think that's how it kind of goes. Mm-hmm. I am willing to drop a little bit of money depending on how things go. But it is like, I guess, I think the nachos at Busch Stadium are like $10, $50, $11. But they're really good nachos. Yeah. But you go to the football game, it was like $7 for nachos, and they only had was like the bag, you open up the bag and they put melty cheese. Like, that's you get the gas station, and that's someone who's worked in the gas station ate those, and it's not that good. So like,
I know it's like the cup. Did they put like real cheese on it, or just the cup that you have to open yourself too?
Oh, it's just no. They put the fake what's my friend call it? Nuclear cheese. That's what they call it.
Well, see, our local movie theaters do that where they give you the bag of nachos and the cup. It's not even fresh or heated. There's just you just got to put it on yourself.
That's terrible.
You got Squeaka going with those loaded nachos.
Oh, they're so good. But
Barmy and eat many ribs. Well, listen, those 3 ribs were really, really good. So
no, there's so many.
Now we got a cheese.
We're back to cheese. No, that's the thing with the loaded nachos. When you put all the stuff on there, like, and I don't know what the ballpark does, but it's just so good. And I'm eating. Like, I love that, and I'm hungry.
Hey,
but
he just started. He asked the question. How much cheese is too much cheese? We know we're going to get an answer on that quickly, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just like I'm willing, even if the prices are ridiculous, I'm willing to spend it. It's just when you get like, because normal stuff is like there's a hot dog for $6. I'm like, it's just a hot dog. It's not even like a kosher dog or something fancy like that. It's just a damn hot dog. Why am I paying $6 for this? I'm just going to eat it and be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you with that. I agree with you like that. Why just pay? Give me the cheap boiled hot dogs. Like I said, when they did 50-cent family feast nights, just or like Philadelphia did the $1 hot dogs where they end up throwing them at each other during the game.
Yeah, well, that's Philly. You can't give them anything.
Oh my gosh. I know. We ought to have Courtney on with a sports show once and talk about Philly, but hey.
That's much fun.
Oh,
But no, there's so much of that. That's what am I thinking of? Oh, because there used to be like a little independent league football, or if not football. What am I talking about? Independent league baseball.
mm-hmm,
That was around us, and they were pretty cheap like that too. That you're talking about. Oh,
mm-hmm.
Jesus. Sorry, I was looking at something and I realized I'm
Well, I
being.
will tell you, I think everything's getting very expensive because I looked at the prices for our local team, our local AFL team, and it's like to get where they want you to sit, it's like a lot more than. I mean, it's minor league sports. I don't want to play that much. I'd pay that much.
No,
So,
I think it's pretty silly because, yeah, why would I want to pay that much for? Like I, not that I didn't care about my minor league team or kind of little league, not little league, but not that I didn't care about them, but I didn't follow them. It's not like
mhm,
the Cardinals where it's, hey, this is a big deal. The River City Rascals, they're cool. I like to go to
mhm,
games, and I wish I went to more, but it's just like, yeah, the whole point is this is cheap fun. We go
mhm.
here and we
Right.
buy. Every seat in the house is a good seat, so you don't mind uh, paying whatever. The cheap tickets are cheap, so you say, yeah, I'll pay the $4 or $5 for the Dippin' Dots or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Let's see.
City
Yeah.
Field, is that the Mets?
Is that Denver? No.
I think City Field's the Mets.
City Field the Mets. Wow.
Look at that. If that's right, that's the baseball knowledge at work right there.
1550. Dang, that's a.
Yikes.
I know. Tell me about
I
it.
guess I did. It was pretty expensive when I bought the tall boys.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
Barmy saying yes. That that's
you Mets, gross, disgusting. Uh, sorry, I had to throw that in there. Uh, I don't know. I usually don't care about the Mets, but there's two things. First of all, now that Toronto won
yeah.
in the first round, I have to make fun of the Mets. But second of all, we got into fights, us and the
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals and the Mets, so now I have to hate them.
Yeah.
I don't make the rules. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. I'm searching
Oh,
for something real
Squeaker.
quickly because I. But if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about our matchup right here, go ahead because
Oh, hold on.
well, Squeak will pay 1550 for the tall boy. So
I'm not that tall. I'll give you a discount, Squeaker.
oh, hey, short boys are affordable and can pack a punch. Hey, all right. Oh, I was surprised Squeak is on the beer, but the cheese, yeah. And Barmy, there's no such thing as too much cheese, I believe.
This is
So
true. Can
absolutely.
never have enough.
Oh man. All right. So hey. All right. Well, wait. I'm trying to find something else here on a detail, but go ahead. Let's talk about where we were going with the DC and Arlington
Oh,
with this graphic that you had here.
I was just mostly showing because I figured we'll talk about it a lot more in depth later, but just wanted to say, yeah, just kind of show and say, hey, this is the matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about it more or just leave that until next week.
Oh well, we can leave it. Bowsette's laughing and $12.99. So there were some league awards this week, right?
Yeah, there were. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got next here is the award winners. Some of these are interesting, but let's get into them. Coach of the year. This is not surprising. I think we both expected this. Or Reggie Barlow, 9-1 team, did very good, and how that team developed over time. I think this was pretty much a no-brainer. So
Mm-hmm.
to be expected, and he definitely deserved it. Special teams player of the year, Darius Shepard, the Battlehawk. This one, I don't want to say a surprise because I think it makes a lot of sense. I thought it was going to be John Parker Romo, but I figured Darius Shepard was at minimum the second best option. So
Mm-hmm.
happy that he won. He was definitely the best kick returner all year. Defensive player of the year, this gets a little interesting. Peter Tamapena, Vegas, he was pretty good. He's listed as a linebacker, but he's kind of like an edge rusher. I never know how that goes. But but he had 4 forced fumbles and 7.5 sacks. So he was pretty good. I expected Jordan Williams to win since he led the league in tackles by a ridiculous amount. But this is still a very good player. We had that slide last time about like, oh, here's the guys who we think will win. And all 3 of these guys were on that. But Jordan Ta'amu, I didn't even put on my slide expecting him to win Offensive Player of the Game. I'm honestly shocked that he won this award. It was probably the biggest surprise I had all of it. Like, no shade at him. He did well, but you're talking about who I think should have won the award, my man AJ McCarron. He had 10 more passing touchdowns than him. He completed like 7% more of his passes. And sure, Jordan Ta'amu was more mobile, but in the end, if you're picking the mobile guy, why not go with DiNucci, who ran for more yards than Ta'amu while also throwing for more touchdowns and completing more passes? So that's just weird to me. I figured, like, hey, if you're going by pure passing stats, AJ McCarron's the guy, and if you're going by pure, like more of the all-around package, well, then DiNucci's your guy. I didn't expect Ta'amu to win. I feel like, at that point, why not go like Abram Smith if you're going to go like that? Because Abram Smith was so much more dominant running back than any other running back. I don't know. It's just, I think this is a very odd choice. I'm not a fan. Not shade at Jordan Ta'amu. He did good, but it's just he was not the best quarterback in the league. So for him to be named Offensive Player of the Year, I think that's silly. I know he came on more at like the end of the season. Those last 5 games were a lot better than the first 5 games, but in the end, you're comparing all 10 games. If you're comparing all 10 games, Ta'amu was not the best.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some research on something else, but the things that jumped out at me with this is I know Darius Shepard did well for St. Louis, but I have a problem. John Parker Romo, though, I mean, to go so accurate on a field goal kick, and he was bombing 50-plus yard field goals, which is really, really difficult. He was drilling those and only missed 2 kicks all year. To me, I still, and you've seen Shepard play, but still, to me, Romo's kicking to me is, I don't understand how he didn't get Special Team Player of the Year. I can understand Ta'amu, because here's what happens in so many of those cases, that it's the teams in the playoffs, the teams that are playing for championships, get the benefits when it comes to postseason awards. It's the way it is.
Yeah,
St. Louis didn't even make the playoffs. And it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right, because I'll say, like, one year in the MVP, when Andre Dawson won the MVP for the league for the with the Cubs being such a bad team, it was a surprise, but he had such a good year they couldn't overlook it. But so many times these awards become popularity contests. The teams that have the success, get all the attention and the love things. So here.
Yeah, I know that happens. It's just, first of all, I think it's really frustrating, but it's also like, St. Louis missed the playoffs via tiebreaker. It's not, they were 7-3. That's a good team. I feel like that's silly to penalize them for missing out via tiebreaker.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. That's frustrating, because it shouldn't be that way. The best team should be the best team, our best player should be the best player, and it should be awarded accordingly. But it's, unfortunately, that's not the way they do it.
Yeah, and I just frustrating. And again, yeah, credit to Ta'amu. He did good, but you're talking about, and this is another thing. And Ta'amu, like, DC had a quarterback rotation. They kind of did away with it more. Ta'amu's really taking a hold now, but they had a while where it's just, hey, they're doing one guy every other drive or something like that. And it worked out well for him. But that's just where I just can't see you doing Offensive Player of the Year for a guy who at one point had a timeshare for the position. It's just, it's very frustrating. I feel like 100% got to give it to AJ McCarron. I am biased, but AJ McCarron had some rough games, but so did Teamu, so did what's his name, Danucci. So that can get disqualified game. And if you're talking about best games, uh, well, AJ McCarron's best games were better than anyone else's best games. His overall stats were better, and it's just I just feel like he 100% deserved it. So when I saw this, because some of these are surprising. Like I agree with you. I think I'm not too surprised that Darius Shepard won because he did do a great job. But I did think that John Parker Romo probably deserved it more. But I mean, Darius Shepard was the best kick returner in the league by a pretty good margin.
Yeah.
So,
but you know,
that's kind of give and take.
I look at a return guy as how many scores did he make? You know, and it's hard, and it's a hard league to return in. But to me, when a kicker, and it's only because he only missed 2 kicks out of the whole thing, and he kicked a lot of 50-yard pluses. He's one of the most accurate from beyond 50, and that just says a lot for a kicker. To be that accurate, and why I would put them. Now, the coach of the year is probably expected. The team with the best record would be the Reggie Barlow, former Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver. It's kind of interesting to see him there. It could have gone to some of the other coaches that are NFL names. Wade Phillips. But then again, Houston lost. So, but
yeah, but I think Barlow too. When you look at it, maybe Wade Phillips could have done it, but
yeah.
I think Barlow, just the season he had and how dynamic that team was, he deserves it.
And the change from it was like one offense to another, just seamlessly. So, and overnight. Well, if you take I sent you something in the private chat. I wanted to see if you could help me look at that. I'm going to go back to the food prices a little bit since we've touched on the award winners. The Jess said you talk with the talk of price of food had her curious and did a search about Wrigley, found an article about how much it went up. Well, the Cubs' large draft beers come in 24-ounce cups, which is only slightly smaller than 27-ounce bats. 24-ounce draft beer is about $15 with tax. So fans are essentially paying $18 for a souvenir cup. Wow. So, yeah, that's probably about right for a cup. I mean, when you go to theme parks and stuff like that, so that would be about right for a cup normally, I would say. So when you compare it to theme parks and things, because they prefer Babe Rose. Not sure what Babe Rose is, but Balzette said a souvenir cup can cost maybe more. Babe Rose, yeah, I'm not sure what that was. I wonder if it's a typo, but souvenir cup can cost way more than that by itself. Just depends on how greedy the company gets. $18 isn't bad. Just as the concessions tab is going to run about 25% more than what they remember. Frankly, a 17 can of Babe Rose. I guess is that a beer type of beer?
I haven't heard of that one.
Or a wine? I have no clue. Is one of the more outrageous price gouging experiences. Well, I don't drink, and it's probably a damn good thing I don't drink because imagine how bad the world would be if I did drink. So, enough Dadman rampages without any liquid courage, So let me see. Yeah, well, So what else? Thinking it's a rose wine. So
we have a few more things to go to.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go through a few more things then.
So there's 2 more things. The second thing. So these are the awards. These awards are done. I don't like the offensive player of the year, and I formally protest it. But,
okay, this is duly noted. Woopah protest.
They're going to announce this on the 8th. The all XFL team. These are just my predictions. I won't go too crazy because this is a whole lot of information. And like things like the offensive lineman, I kind of just guessed because you can't find any offensive line stats really. But I guess it's going to be different. I did this. I forgot to change this from this morning. I put AJ McCarron as the all XFL QB. He should be, but I doubt they put him in if they put Jordan Ta'amu as Offensive Player of the Year, they're probably going to put him as the QB, which will bring the Battlehawks down to 3 and DC down up to 5.
Wow.
Still incredibly stupid, and XFL wake up, idiots.
I'm going to say something real quick, folks. This is why Woopah is excellent to have with streams and stuff he does. This graphic right here, I can actually see something that I want to talk about immediately right off the bat because of how much detail you put in here. So,
but yeah, you've got offensively, they only have one running back here. So Abram Smith, he's the clear guy.
He's about the only one that had numbers that warranted being on an XFL team, I think, really.
Yeah. And then wide receiver wise, this is kind of the weird part we get into it. So Shakur Pearson and Hakeem Butler, I think, are clearly going to make it. Where it gets interesting is the third spot. I think Cody Latimer is going to get in. But there's a weird thing is it's hard to figure out what he is, in the sense that he was a wide receiver in college. He was a wide receiver in the NFL. And if you go to the Guardians roster page, he's listed as a wide receiver. But when you look at stats, they put TE next to his name. So it's like, was he a tight end? If he is listed as a tight end, he's absolutely going to win the tight end spot. He has much better stats than Sal Cannella. But if he is a wide receiver, I think they're going to put him. I'd be pretty confident still that he's going to end up as the wide receiver. And then Sal Cannella is the only other tight end worth voting for. So if Latimer ends up being a tight end, then they'll put him there. And I guess they'll put, I don't know who they'd put. There's a lot of guys. After you get past Hakeem Butler and Shakur Pearson, who are the clear best guys, there's a lot of guys who could fill in that slot. So I don't know. I'm assuming Cody Latimer is going to be the wide receiver.
Okay.
And you got the offensive line.
Do they have a rule where every team has to at least have one player on it?
I don't think so. This is just what I went through. Why do you ask?
Well, just because Orlando was so bad that, oh, damn it, Devils. Damn, they're down 2-0 in the second. Oh, well.
No, they don't have that rule. Well, that I know of, they might have it. But the reason, I'll bring this up real quick just so I can talk about it. Cody Latimer was 4th in yards. He was only 4th by 1. He was second. He was 3rd in catches and 3rd in targets, and he had 4 touchdowns as well. So he was pretty good. And this was in 9 games, by the way. So he missed 1 game and still was top 3 receiver pretty much. Maybe, at worst top 4. So especially considering how rough things were for him, the fact that he still was able to get that good of stats, I feel like he will definitely get the nod. And the other thing is, if he's a tight end, absolutely, he's number 1 in every single category as a tight end. So I think he definitely deserves it. If he doesn't get in, then it's kind of interesting who it goes to. They could put another Battlehawk in there and put Darius Shepard in as a return specialist and a wide receiver, just because he had 6 touchdowns. And he had 6 touchdowns. Wasn't as high in yards, but was 4th in catches, and tied for 3rd in targets. But they also have guys like Chris Blair, who only had 26 catches, but had 22.8 yards per catch. So it's
Well, one thing I wanted to say here, one of the worst teams in the league, San Antonio, who just missed the playoff, actually has the most players that you're projecting, which is you don't see that often.
It's a very interesting thing, and that kind of comes down to this defensive format, which I don't know about. We'll see. But the site says there's 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 4 defensive backs. So not like it's 4-3, no chance for 3-4. And that's where you get interesting, because like these linemen, Delonte Scott absolutely deserves to be on here. Davin Bellamy had pretty good stats. Laquale London, he had pretty good stats, and just watching him, he was a monster. And then you get to Drew Beasley, and that's why I bring it up, because San Antonio, I feel like he deserves it if they do 4 defensive line. But where I get confused, what they'll do is a lot of these guys are, some of these guys are just edge rushers. So Peter Tamapenu, who won the Defensive Player of the Year, he's more of an edge rusher. Same with Trent Harris.
Right.
They're listed as linebackers. I assume they're going to be linebackers, but they definitely took snaps on the defensive line. So if they're going to list them more as defensive line, they're absolutely both better than Drew Beasley.
Mm-hmm.
And even other linebackers. So you've got Travis Feeney, who is kind of an edge rusher. He was pretty good for the Battlehawks. And then you've also got that Donald Payne, who, despite missing 2 games, still finished only 2 tackles away from second place. So he's very good. And that's where you kind of get Emmanuel Ellerbe, similar thing. He had missed 2 games and was almost in second place. So linebacker wise, no disrespect for Drew Beasley, but I feel like they kind of get that 5th player just because if we're just going strictly defensive line and not edge rushers, he makes it in. But there's so many linebackers who are better, I would say, than Drew Beasley.
Hey, Theme Park Casual. Hey, can't stay, but hey, thanks for the like. Thanks for coming through. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see how your prognostication works against what they actually select this season. So
we'll have to see
together. Yeah,
I guess next Friday we'll see how well I did.
And we talked about this last week, though. Matt Brown, the punter for Orlando. It's like, I wonder if he's going to get more because he kept completing passes on fake punts.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, passing categories for punters in this league. So versus
he's
actually
the passing,
kicking the ball.
He's the best. He's the best. The throwing punter. That's the thing.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, this is great. Hey, there you go. Look at this analysis. This, like I said, is another reason why Woopah is great with this stuff. You can see the passion of sports, just like the Pokemon. And we got one other thing, right? Right, Woopah?
Oh yeah. So this is 3 slides, but it's the people. I'm predicting people from the XFL to the NFL. We don't have to talk about all of these. I just kind of gave the people that I think are going to get the call. And I have it sorted into 2 columns: potential NFL graduates and potential return players. So I kind of picked the guys who I think, they're definitely good enough to go and they definitely want to go, versus people who either I thought they were good, but maybe not good enough to go, or guys that I think maybe will return.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got
to see. I'm still like, I think McCarron, you got.
I had to edit something real quick. I realized I left something in those.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay. Hey, it's always good. Catch it before it's too late. It's always good. So,
yeah.
But if you need a second, let me know. I'm going to show something to change the subject for a second.
Oh, okay. If you want to change the subject, I was.
Well, if you're ready, let's go. Let's go with your.
I'm ready
first. If you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. There you go. I don't know if we get back if I change the subject on that
one. So we've got this, the people that stand out to me all through these 4 teams. First of all, Abram Smith. He's so DC. Some of these players you can see I put the logos next to them. Some of them have already been invited to training camps. No one's signed a contract, but they've been invited to training camps. I think so. DC, no one on DC and Arlington has, because they're still on active rosters.
Right.
You can't kind of trade until the off season, so to speak. Abram Smith, I think he's gonna have no problem getting a contract, and I think Daniel Whalen was a really good punter from what I watched, and I think he got harmed some by the XFL punt rules, which are pretty unforgiving. I think he'll be pretty good if someone wants to give him a chance in the NFL. Teamu, maybe
now were the punt rules were the punt rules different? I thought the punt rules were just like normal punt. I know the kickoff rules were different.
No, so the punt, if you kick it out of bounds, not just out of the back of the end zone, but out of bounds, you start at the 35.
Okay.
So it's punishing. A touchback hurts a lot more in this league than others in the NFL.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah. We've got Jordan Teamo. I kind of put him as a return player just because he played in 2020 XFL and he did pretty good. Signed with Kansas City in the practice squad, but didn't make it. Then he played for the 2022 USFL and he led the team in passing yards, and still no one gave him a contract. So he did well here, wins Offensive Player of the Year, which I think is ridiculous. He didn't deserve it, but still, he did good. I just kind of put him as potential return players because at this point, I think it's going to be hard for him to make an NFL roster if he's had so many chances and done well, but still hasn't got on. And then for this Seattle, Ja'Cour Pearson's going to make it. Ben DiNucci already invited to the Broncos training camp. An interesting thing, I put Harrison Frost. So Harrison Frost, one of three interesting players. He was draft eligible. So he hadn't gone through a draft yet and went to Seattle and kind of sat behind Ben DiNucci.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was going to get invited to a camp. I figured, hey, he'll come back next year and hopefully do well, and then maybe that'll be his path to the NFL. But no, he's already been invited to the Saints. And I think guys like Morgan Ellison did pretty good early in the season, but it just got hurt. So I don't think that they're going to – I don't think they did enough to get an NFL offer yet, but I think they definitely have the talent that he'll be good to come back if he does. Battlehawks, Hakeem Butler to the Saints, Darius Shepard to the Lions. Again, this is just training camp, but he's I think Hakeem Butler can really make it because he didn't really get a fair shot in the NFL because he had some injuries. And you got Laquale London and Travis Feeney are probably the only two good parts of our defense, in my opinion. So I think they're going to be fun. As far as people to come back, I pick AJ McCarron. I know you were saying you think he can play in the NFL. I do too. I just think so he's in his 30s now. He already talked about he chose to come to the XFL because he missed actually playing. He just was in the
You get tired.
Backup now.
The competitor in you is one that you don't want to sit on the bench. I tell you, in anything, the worst thing I had when my brother-in-law kept screwing me over for his friends, like softball and things like that, was having to sit on the bench. You want to be out there and in the game. It's like that a lot of times. Even say something like Fortnite. There's times like if a stream's too big with too many people, you get tired of sitting out. You want to get in there and play. You don't want to sit out all the time. When you get that competitive juice and fire going, that's part of being a competitor, and that's definitely understandable.
So I wonder, you already passed up a job on the bench for this, and hey, he put up the tape that if he wants to go back to that, I think he'll be a backup for the rest of his career, no problem. But I guess what I was wondering, I was looking at, he's made $16 million. That's not a ton for a quarterback. It's not a ton for an NFL player, honestly, who's played as long as he has, just because NFL salaries are crazy. But like, it's enough that it's not like some of these guys who maybe got 1 year in the league or just trying to break into the league. He's got the money. If he just does truly want to play, this is a question that's come up in other leagues. Like I know there was something with Jeremy Lin recently because he was dominating some Chinese league. And people were saying, oh, why isn't he in the NBA? It's like, well, he could be in the NBA, but he'd probably be like a guy who comes off the bench every other game and plays a few minutes. But he can go to this league and play and basically be a star. So does AJ McCarron want to get back in the NFL, sign a contract, and probably be a backup for the rest of his career? Or does he want to play in the XFL and be that star quarterback, so to speak? Because if he comes back next year, he's going to be the face of the XFL, essentially.
Yeah.
And I've got Brian Hill here, which is maybe wishful thinking that he comes back, but he did struggle down the stretch. He was looking like one of the best running backs, best besides Abram Smith, and he kind of struggled at the end. Marcel Aitman showed flashes, but he was hurt most of the year. And Willie Harvey is another guy who was draft eligible. He sadly went undrafted, but out of the three guys who were undrafted, one guy was Harrison Frost. He didn't play a game. One guy, he signed very late in the year and never played a snap. And so I don't even include him, but Willie Harvey got some starts. He was good. So I kind of in hindsight, I might say I expect him to make the NFL instead. But if he doesn't, he'll be a great guy to return and probably make the NFL after that, I hope. And the Vipers, they don't have much.
Yeah.
Peter Tamapenu, he's going to. He won Defensive Player of the Year, and he deserved it. He looked like a one-man wrecking crew at times. And I think like Jeff Badette, probably a good guy to come back. CJ Avery and Jalen McClendon looked good enough for most of the time. I think he'll be back in spring football for sure, hopefully with the Vipers.
Okay.
So I have a little bit. I have more.
Do we have a second page?
We have
page. Games, yeah.
But the second page.
Yeah.
So this is just to the south.
Right.
One big thing you're going to notice here. First of all, there's even more players, but also
John Parker Romo got an invite to Detroit. That makes sense. Yeah.
He's in Detroit, baby.
And Jacques Patrick's back with Denver, it looks like. So.
Oh, yeah. No, that's interesting. So, yeah, we start with the Brahmas. They actually have a lot of guys because their defense was really good. Their defense and special teams were both very good. Just their offense was not great. Delonte Scott, I think he's going to get a spot. Jordan Williams, he's going to get a spot. Luke Barku, he's already invited to the Browns. Teni Adewusi, I think, could make it. We talked about John Parker Romo with Denver. Brad Wing, he's a veteran punter. I think he's in his late mid-30s. But he was just so good all year. I think he's going to get a shot. And then, Jacques Patrick, maybe he's not coming back. I thought he was going to come back because I know he was a player in the 2020 XFL, but he did do pretty good. I didn't know if he did enough to make it back, but maybe he did. So Landon Akers is another guy who was hurt a lot. A lot of these players who get hurt, I never know if they're going to make it. I kind of just put them in this case because I figured, well, if you get hurt, you didn't do enough, but they showed enough flashes that maybe they'll get a shot.
Yeah.
And speaking of guys that got hurt, that's up going to Houston. John Trey Kirkland. He got the news today. He's invited to New York, a team that needs wide receivers, and he got hurt. He looked pretty good before he got hurt. Max Borg is a guy I think potentially returned to the team. Trent Harris, sack leader of the XFL. He's in Denver now. Ajane Harris, he's gonna go. He was amazing. Emmanuel Ellerby is a guy similar to Donald Payne that I have there with the Renegades, a guy who missed some games, but even with the missed games, he looked good enough that he could even be an all XFL player potentially. And the other two guys are just two good defensive players I think will make a team. Renegades, again, they can't sign anywhere yet, but you're looking at Saul Cannella. I think he played for Green Bay a bit, and then he came into this league and was the best tight end, so I imagine he's going to come back. Donald Payne, I already touched on him. Willie Taylor. Joe Powell kind of took some plays off, but he was pretty good. The guys I have potential return, Devion Smith, he just had a really bad yards per carry. He's got a lot of good counting stats, but his yards per carry were not great. So I think it's going to keep him out of the NFL, but I think it'll make him an asset still. Will Hill, I think he's just this is the thing about veterans too. I don't know if it's too old. Some NFL players, if you're a fringe type, they'd rather keep a young guy who has some upside than an old veteran. Because most NFL teams, they already have that old veteran for leadership. But also Will Hill's another guy who was on 2020 XFL. And I kind of figure if you're getting that many chances in the XFL, there's two options. Number one, no one wants you in the NFL. Or number two, you just enjoy playing. You'd rather get the snaps than sit on the bench. And Luis Perez is a similar case. He's played in every spring football. He played in 2019 AAF. He played in 2020 XFL. He played in 2022 USFL. And now he played in 2023 XFL. He's crazy. He's a madman. I'm very happy about that. But I think he'll be back. And back for Arlington will be a lot better.
Absolutely.
The last thing I have is, last thing for this slide. And then we can go over one last thing. Okay. I got to get going soon, but Devin Darrington, I think he's going to make it. Cody Latimer could definitely. So Devin Darrington didn't start all the games. When he did, he had such great speed and broke off on a ton of long runs. I think that can help a lot, even if it's just in a return role. It'll help.
Yeah.
Cody Latimer, we already talked about him, one of the better receivers, and he has some NFL experience. I think he'll make it back. Quinn Dormady, I think if he comes back, he showed enough that I think some team will want to make him a starter somewhere. Jordan
if he can
Thomas.
learn to hold the football,
Yeah.
unlike Danucci, who turned the ball over, and Dorman. I mean, Danucci still scored. Danucci was on a winning team. Dormany was really bad about ball security. I mean, just bad fumbles, just
Mhm.
horrible. When he just dropped the ball when he was falling to the ground, it just that went for a touchdown. So, but yeah, he's got to improve on the turnovers.
But another a guy who did get invite, Charleston Rambo, to the Eagles. He's kind of that deep threat. He had a lot of very high yards per catch. So it'd be interesting to see there. I think he could have a shot at making a team. We'll see.
Yep.
But the last thing is, so these are all people I went through the rosters and the stats and said, hey, these are people I think are going to make it, or maybe people I think could make it, but I think might return. But there's more of this. And this is just people who already got invites, but I didn't expect them to. And in my defense, a lot of this is guys who block, or guys in the trenches and guys who block.
Yep.
Because with the offensive line guys, I can't.
Well, Jack Cohn got an invite to 2 camps.
That's the big thing, because a lot of
What
this
the
is just
hell?
a lot of this is just people I can't, I necessarily can't predict unless you watch all their tape. All the guys in the trenches and like the tight ends, where it's like, we only have available the passing stats. Like Cam Sutton, he didn't do enough catching the ball, but I don't know what he did blocking. Maybe he was a great blocker, in which case I understand. But yeah, people like Jack Cohn, I was shocked to have him here because I know he had some good last 2 games, but most of the time he was bad. He got benched.
It was bad. Yeah.
I didn't expect him. I didn't know if he would even come back if he would be valuable coming back to the Brahmas. But yeah, he got invited to the Seahawks and the Jets. This is pretty wild.
That is very wild. Not just pretty wild. That is very wild. I'm like, golly, I could not believe that happened.
But yeah, so I kind of through these guys. Jack Cohn is the big surprise for me. All the offensive and defensive linemen, I just wanted to include because I think it's cool how many have already gotten invites to camp. And this is only 6 teams because, again, the 2 in the championship still can't go to camps yet. But yeah, all the guys from Seattle, and all the guys from Houston, offensive and defensive line, I can't expect that. Nothing surprising there. Cam Sutton, again, we don't know the blocking for tight ends. St. Louis is where it gets a little interesting for 2 reasons. So we've got Kevin Atkins and his name's Freedom, Akin Maladin. I'm surprised they kind of made it, just because Freedom I know was kind of a rotation piece in our offensive line. Kevin Atkins was pretty good. Still a little surprised, but
that's why they bring them in. They bring them in for bodies, cannon fodder. They just run them in, get reps, and then that's all you do because
better cannon fodder. But
look, I've seen the bad linemen come through Jacksonville, so it's like, there are some bad linemen. They get invited all the time, but only because they're big, So.
But you got Lucas Dennis. He did pretty good overall, especially late in the season. So props to him. There's 3 things I observed from this. Number 1 is the fact that Falcons invited 4 people, maybe 5. Let me double check if they invited someone else.
But 5. Yeah.
But it's like, so I think that's crazy that they've already invited so many XFL players.
Yeah.
But also the other 2 guys that St. Louis got. Number 1 is Alex Matheson, long snapper. I thought that's crazy because I don't know anything about long snappers. I mean, it's cool that one of them is like, yes, get this guy into the league. I think that's cool. And the other one is Mateo Durant. He was our backup running back, and he had some okay games, but let me double check his stats real quick. But I don't remember him ever being super elite for us. He got some starts, but he's way down there. Played 9 games, 3.1 yards per carry, 1 fumble. Only 126 total yards. I'm surprised that he got there. And I'll tell you, he's a guy that makes me nervous when he runs because he'll dive just head first into people. I'm like, man, you're going to get hurt. Makes me nervous for him. But I'm just surprised the guy, 3.1 yards per carry, backup running back, and they invited him. I don't know. It's a little confusing.
Yep.
But that's all the people that have
Hey.
offers right now.
There you go. And still more to be determined after the league finishes up after next week. So definitely join us next week for our in-depth preview of the championship game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have fun with that. We'll blow your mind with stats and stuff like that, and who knows what kind of great images things Woopah will come out with. But I will. We got 9 people here with us here at the end.
Nice.
Thank you for those lurking. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and people on Twitch too. Make sure you follow us over there. And things like that. So, wow, actually we got 10. Wow. Hey, wow. It's so funny. It's like, we got to keep going, but we just keep going. That's another 24-hour live stream. How about that? If I hit
Let's
250.
do it.
You in for it? All right.
Well, I don't have to stay the whole hour, the whole 24 hours. You do. I just can just drop in and out whenever I want.
Well, I might institute a mod rule though. That's.
I'll get Bowsette to do it all.
Oh, there you go, Bowsette. I tell you what, Bowsette and Jess, both of them have been troopers with as much as I've streamed. And Stunning, can't do it without them. And all my mods, Squeaka, Ash, Atwood, Mark D with a C. People get here as they can and how much. So, oh God, how about this? Is it on the PS4, Bowsette? Is that on the PS4? We have 11 with us right now. Folks, smash that like button on the YouTube side. Sub if you haven't already. Let's get to that 250. So I'm waiting for Bowsette to say whether it is. Because if it is, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you'll have to play with me. You'll have to train me. Okay. And PC and mobile. Oh, well, I'll have to look later. If I do and did that, I should come right back. Hey, if I did that, you're going to have to be one to teach me. Like we like to teach everybody Fortnite. Somebody's going to have to work with me in that game. So one little distraction I was looking at, Woopah, and Woopah tried to help me, but we cannot find if this is still around. It looks like an active website, but we couldn't tell whether there's a 2023 schedule or not. But there was something, and we'll talk about this more another time, but go out with some ladies talk. We touched on this the other night. I don't remember if it was it probably was our Monday night stream, the Legends Football League or the Lingerie Football League. Okay, yes, it accentuated the women's assets, yes. But I tell you what, folks, these ladies knew how to play football. They smacked the shit out of each other, and it was some hard-hitting action. Yeah, there's a reason why they wear those hockey-type helmets. But, hey, it's a shame that if they are out of business, it's a shame. But I tell you what, it made for some damn good football. I mean, in terms of the football, not just for watching the ladies, but, hey. So you can still find videos of them on YouTube and things like that. So Windows, Android, iOS, PlayStation. Bowsette, if I agree to that at 250, will you teach me? Do you mind streaming and teaching me, or what? I mean, I'm willing to do something for a crazy stunt. I stayed up 24 hours, so if you're willing to help me, I think I might commit to that, Bowsette. So, but this was interesting to see this league. If you ever get to watch them on the film. Yeah, they have pads in many places. But it truly was good football, I will tell you. It was really good football to watch. So if you ever get bored and want to look at it, go look in the Lingerie Football League or Legends Football League. So, they had a lot of the same rules. See, they got like maybe it's more like lacrosse-type helmets, not really football. Yeah, hell, the ladies alone should have kept the LFL. Damn straight. It was, I tell you what, it was a fun league to watch. I was actually watching them every week, and the missus was watching with me. So, but that was a good thing there. So, and Buddy Hepburn, that's when we played Me Too. Damn straight. Have you ever watched the Powder Puff game?
Oh,
Some
yeah.
of those Powder Puff games, those get vicious. Well, these girls did. I saw some where the women were going after the coach on the other team fighting. Yeah, this is like it truly was no holds barred. It was crazy stuff, and you know, maybe they'll be around. Maybe there'll be a different league or something. But I remember that they were. I don't remember. I think they just televised on YouTube. So, but hey, welcome, Buddy Hepburn. Thank you for being in there. So, and yeah, they straight up fight everyone. Absolutely, Bowsette. So, all right, and hello, Jeremy Five. Hey, welcome. Good to see you too. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming in there. Okay, Bowsette, you can let me know later about the 250, but I'm willing to do this, but I got to have a teacher. Okay, I got to have a teacher. All right. So all right. So we got 10 there. But anyway, that's a nice little thing to go out on tonight. But before we close completely, let me go through a couple channel announcements. So let us. Where are we at? Okay. First of all, I don't know whether we're doing late night Fortnite over at Mark D with the C's channel tonight, or maybe I'll do a late night stream. I have a meeting with people now. Then we might do something late tonight, impromptu tomorrow or Sunday. I don't know yet, but Sunday may be an open day because on Sunday night I appear on Mark D with C at 10 o'clock. But this week I'm also going to appear again on Lorena Creel's Welcome to Florida show at 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you catch us over there to talk all things Florida and Florida man. And yeah, the game teaches you LOL. You know me and reading instructions and finding stuff. Yeah, lots of text. Do you really think I could do that? No, I can't even find a sword on a map. Just ask Stunning. So, but yes, but join me that on Sunday night. Would be awesome if you do over there with Lorena's show. Our programs here Monday night we've got another episode of Sports Weekly. Oh, hey, I shared it at the wrong time. Yeah, see, that's what I do when I did it wrong. So, yeah, exactly.
For shame.
I know it happens. So, just got to redo it. So, it'll be a second because we're going to wrap up here and go here and there. Sports Weekly. So, hey, there you go. Sports Weekly Dad Man. Join us Monday night at 8 where we're going on Twitch and YouTube. Where we're going to talk about some sports news stories and have a general conversation about things in the world of sports. Bring your sports questions or whatever, and we'll try to hit them up and take care of them. So, Bowsette doesn't know what story for the most part. Rapid tap my phone through everything. Well, okay, that's fine. But I need somebody to teach me the controls and stuff. I'm one of those plug and play guys, but... So that's Monday night. Join us for that. Also, then, let's see. Oops. No, not that one. That's why I took it down. And Tuesday night, I got the way I brought it up is ass backwards. So, go figure. And on Tuesday night, there's a very special stream. I hope y'all can join us because you like food and all. We're going to do another hanging with, we're calling it Grilling with R.M. Briggs, the great author that we talked to before, science fiction short stories, where we're going to talk barbecue. We're going to talk food this time because if you remember that stream, we derailed in the last 40 minutes and just talked desserts and food. So join us for that, where we're going to talk barbecue Tuesday night at a special time at 10 p.m. Eastern. Definitely join us for that. And let's see if I got that. Nope. It's fun. Going through all these. Nope. Okay, let me show one other screen here. Look at May. We already had Lisa from YouTube on Wednesday night. We'll have Raquel on Tuesday night. Next Sunday, we're going to have Big Rigging with Rod Thunderheart talking about truck driving. Yeah, familiar. Yeah, Raquel's the one we interviewed about the book, the author. Make sure you get that book if you haven't already. Great book, real short stories. And of course, on the 17th, we're planning to have another Chilling with Daisy Blossom. We're not doing a movie this month, but we're just going to have a hangout time this month. So, and that's what we see with that. So, but like as everything else we say we do, we remove that, stop sharing. Yeah, I really brought it up backwards way this time. But in all, catch us on Dadman Walking 55 everywhere. Uh, uh, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, all Dadman Walking 55. Catch our videos and our playlists on YouTube, twitch.tv. You catch us there, and Twitter is where you need to follow me to see what the latest when we do some impromptu game or other streams. So, alrighty, and I will look at that a little bit later. Okay, thank you. All right, Woopah, thank you again. Another great show. Thank
No
you.
problem. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in now. And yeah, bye for now. As Balzette says, like I said, keep an eye on my. If you're late night owls, keep an eye on my Twitter. Whether we do a fortnight later here or elsewhere, you'll see it there. If not, have a good night. But hey, on that note, thank you everybody that came. Thank you everybody that lurked. Thank you everybody that followed on YouTube or Twitch and liked and subscribed on the YouTube side. Thank you all for your support. As I said, y'all mean the world, and we're not, without y'all here, it's definitely not the same. So on that note, and thank you, Jess, for the posting the link. And yes, later. Okay, on that note, bye all.